Welcome and good morning. It's Mike Ferry. Got a couple of key announcements to make and a couple of key thoughts that I want to I'll take a careful look at. Here we are, mid-October 2021. And the question that I've been asked virtually probably 7 days a week since our retreat in July is, Mike, what are you anticipating? What are you forecasting? What do you expect to have happen in the fourth quarter, which we're in today, and the first quarter of 2022? I don't have a crystal ball. All I can do is share with you some of the things that we see going on in the marketplace that can have a strong positive or negative effect on your mindset and your production. So the biggest challenge we face today is the number of agents that are involved in the industry is probably the highest we've ever had. I'm seeing reports, and I don't know which ones are accurate, 1.7, 1.8 million active members of NAR today. Active being kind of a crazy word because I'm not sure how active they are. That's up 300,000 or 400,000 agents in the last 12 months. But what is scary is the number of non-productive agents is probably the highest we've ever seen. We're addressing this because we have to look at both the productive agents and non-productive as we look at the fourth quarter of this year. So basically what we're going to look at is the next 6 months. What's going on? How's it going to affect you? How are you going to make that effect of the market in a positive way help you become more productive? So the first thing that I've defined is this: the pandemic purchasing that we saw for about 12 months has declined as the total number of sales in the United States have declined from September, October of this year over December, October of last year. For the year, we're behind in the number of sales. The problem is the average commission check is way up, so we're doing less transactions and in many cases making more money. Well, this pandemic purchasing I'm referring to is kind of like 2012, 13, 14, and early 15. We had a 4.5 year recession from 08, 09 to 2012, big backlog of inventory sitting on the market, low prices, huge number of potential buyers came in the market skyrocketed. This is what happened during the pandemic. We had all of a sudden this big backlog of people that wanted a bigger home, more space, be away from people because of this terrible virus. So this pandemic purchasing that we saw taking place is obviously declining. Why? Because that big bubble of people is declining. They've purchased, they've made the purchase, they've decided not to purchase. That is going away. The second thing that we'll see over the next 6 months, and this is probably one of the hardest parts for most agents to accept. I wrote down listing agents have to understand the difference between the greed of a seller and the motivation of a seller. Greed has become a major factor. I mean, sellers are sitting around talking in neighborhoods today and saying to each other, husband and wife, can you imagine if we could get this much money for the house, we should consider selling it. And they're getting more money than they've ever dreamed possible. And that's due to the pandemic and the purchasing power that buyers had in trying to escape or get a new environment to raise their family in. Hardest part of listing property today. Does the seller have a strong motivation? In the next 6 months, we're going to see, and this is the third point, the inventory continue to grow, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. We need more inventory. It gives the buyers more choices. It takes pressure off the buyers. It gives you as a listing agent a little more comfort in sellers trying to cut the commissions, because if you list a property for $595 or whatever the price may be today, and there's 4, 5, or 8 offers in 60, 72 hours, and you're asking 5-6% commission, the seller's going to say, what have you done during the commission? And the truth is, probably not much of anything. You got the listing. But at the same time, if there is more inventory and the seller is not greedy and they actually have a strong desire to sell, over the next 6 months, you are in a good position to get better listings, probably to increase your inventory by a certain number. We're not going to go back to 2009, 10, 11, and 12, where agents were having 20, 30, 50, 60 listings in inventory. But right now, inventory is still somewhat scarce, but the inventory is rising. in the last part of this year, we're going to see an increase in inventory, and in the first quarter, we're going to see an increase in inventory. What's going to happen after end of March next year? I don't have any idea. But the fourth thing I wrote down is we can see the days on market, which is a key stat for a good agent to understand. Part of listing real estate is understanding the market conditions. Days on market has been extending for the last 60, 90 days nationwide, probably for the first time in 15, 16 months. And that, again, is a good sign. The other good sign that I see for the market, which is also going to have an effect on a lot of us, is prices are starting to flatten out a little bit. Now, I saw a report a couple of days ago that some of the big banks are still projecting 13 to 16% increase inflation on prices next year. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know what their basis is, but I will say this to you, that over the last 3 months, prices have flattened out. There's no question about it. I also wrote down the following. The record number of offers being made on listings has declined for the last 3 or 4 months dramatically. April, May of this year, some people were taking listings, getting 20, 30, 40 offers on a listing. Now, if we get 4 or 5, it's considered a big deal. But the good news about the fourth quarter and the first quarter of next year is we're seeing expired listings again for the first time in a long time. And for those that have the skill set of understanding how to work with an expired, your opportunities to take listings is increasing. But the scary part of what's going on right now, and I think all of us have to be concerned about, is the fact that so many of our great clients are actually doing less transactions this year than last year, but making substantially more money than they have in the past because the average sales price keeps climbing. So that goes back to the fact that we really have to understand the motivation of a seller. So we're returning to a somewhat more normal market than ever before. But I will say to each of you in total confidence that the market really should not be a factor in what we're doing. Meaning, if the market is driving your business to new heights financially and production-wise, are the skills there to support the market? I believe that probably in the second quarter of next year, we'll see a decline in the market. It's normal because we go through these cycles in real estate all the time. We've been on a long-term cycle for a long time, and it's been a very strong cycle for a long time. Really, since 2012, the market has escalated. A little hesitation early 2019, came back again. And of course, we had March, April, May of 2020 when the pandemic hit, where the market seemed to falter a lot, but it's been stronger than ever. There has to be some common sense in the market. And the common sense is the next 6 months, to me, are critical to each of us. What's the critical part? I wrote down, how have these factors affected your fourth quarter and first quarter of next year, or how will they affect it? And the answer is they shouldn't have any effect at all. Now, why do I say that? Because if the skill set is strong, the schedule is doable, and the mindset is positive, there's really no reason why you can't make the last quarter and the first quarter of next year your best 6 months ever. So as a result, my wife Serena came up with this great idea, which we introduced in Washington, D.C. about a week ago. And that is to change our approach to the coaching that we do. Meaning, we've always asked people to sign a 1-year agreement for coaching. Why 1 year? Because my belief has been, now remember, whether people like it or not, I'm the grandfather of real estate coaching. We started it in October of 1988. And it's been interesting because in that 33, 34 years we've had coaching, we've seen a lot of ups and downs in the market. But one thing I feel very strongly about, it takes a lot of time to change a person's behavior. So we've had a 1-year contract, which we've had for many, many years. In fact, most of our competitors went from short contracts to 1 year because we were doing a 1-year contract. So we're going to do something different from now until November 30th, because I am excited and concerned simultaneously about what's going to happen to individuals. Probably not you, but a lot of people in real estate. So what we're doing is we're going to change our contract for our coaching Premier and one-on-one from 1 year to 6 months. And we're going to do that through the end of November or the end of next month. So the commitment is going to be shorter. The commitment from our coaches is going to be stronger. I'm putting a lot of heat on all the coaches now. Whatever you do, drive the skill set into the agent. Work them with their schedule, be more productive. Encourage them, and work to strengthen the mindset, because the next 6 months, a la a 6-month contract, becomes critical. Call the office, go online, sign up for a 6-month contract, and let's put you in a position that no matter what happens in the second quarter of next year, it's not going to affect you except in a positive manner. Together, we can make that happen. Look forward to seeing you. Thanks.